Not every photograph needs cropping, but sometimes the visual impact or the composition is significantly improved when you crop the photograph. And I'm going to tell you 5 reasons why you need to crop the photographs right after this. So my first reason is to enhance the composition of the image. Sometimes a fraction of moment is more important than spending a lot of time finding composition. For example, you arrive the scene little late and there is a best light hitting the scene in front of you. You'll be little hurried to take those images without much concentrating on the composition. So when you come home and open the image, you see the subject of interest in your image is not in the right place. So that is the moment the role of cropping the image come into play. So that time you can crop the image and reframe it and put the subject of interest in the right place. This is an example where I want to show you how cropping of the image can enhance the overall composition of the image. So in this image, there is nothing much going on in this left hand side, and there is layers of hills from foreground, midground to background, where the much of the interest is over this area. So what I decided is I decided to crop out the left hand side a little bit so that you can see the rule of third grid is coming on this particular area where the subject of interest is situated, and I decided to crop out in the foreground a little bit up to this area, and you can see how significantly the cropping can change the composition of the image. So here we have another image. Here you can see there's a lot of sky, and this is occupying more than half of the image. And in this image I have the area of interest over this area, that is the monastery building. So in order to bring the viewer's attention over this area, I have decided to crop out the upper part of the sky till this area, and you can see the right lower quadrant of the rule of third grid is in the center of this area of interest. So I came out with this final post-processing image. Here we can see this right lower quadrant is in the center of this area of interest, and the right upper quadrant is just near to the brightest part of this image. So these two quadrants are grabbing attention of the viewers in this image. So by cropping the image, you can recompose the image again, and you can bring the subject of interest in the right place of your image. My second reason is my favorite, and that is to remove the unwanted subject or the distracting element from the image. When there is too many unwanted subject in the image, it fails to grab the attention of the main subject you wanted the viewers to focus on. So when the unwanted subject or the distracting element is too big to remove from the image, you need to use the crop tool. You can crop the image in order to eliminate those distracting or unwanted subject from the image. Here we have an image. In this image, the main subject is this man with the boat in the center, and there is a rock in this region which is acting as an distracting element. So I decided to crop this area up to this region, and I came out with this post-processing final image. So the viewer's attention will be stuck on this region without any distracting element in this region. And we have another image here. We can see in this image the area of interest is over this region, with the small tree with the surrounding fogs in the foreground, and there is a layer of hills with the fog in the midground, and there is sky in the background. As the sky is brighter than this foreground and the midground areas, so this sky is acting as a distracting element in this image. So I decided to crop out this sky up to this area, and I came out with this final post-process image where I decided to brighten up this area so that it grabs the attention of the viewers in this area, which is the main subject of this image. My third reason is to magnify the subject of interest. Sometimes you may forgot to carry your telephoto zoom lens, and there is a situation when there is the subject is far away from you, and you have the mid zoom lens or the wide angle lens, and you took the image with those lens, and you came out with the image where your subject is significantly small and doesn't hold much attention to the viewers. So that is the condition where you need to use the crop tool to crop the image and magnify your subject of interest so that it catches the viewer's attention in that image. In this image you can see there is nothing much in the foreground, and I wanted this part of the image to be in the foreground, and I want to magnify this background hill as well. So what I did is I cropped this image up to this area, and this area became the foreground now, and I came out with this image, and now in this image you can see this part became the foreground, and it's looking a little bit bigger in the foreground, and the background hills are a little bit magnified and is little emphasized in this image. So by cropping the image you can really magnify the subject of interest in the image. My fourth reason is to realign the horizon of the image. When the horizon of your image is not straight, and you can correct the horizon using the Photoshop, Lightroom or other editing softwares. In order to realign your horizon straight, you need to rotate the image a little bit so that the edges of your image will be cropped a little bit. Here we have the image where in this image you have the horizon is not straight, and in order to make the horizon straight, what we can do is we can rotate the image a little bit, maybe this much, and you can see now the horizon is straight. And if you see in the outer edge of the image is cropped out. So this is the condition where you need to crop the image in order to straighten your horizon of the image. Here I have the image. If you see this image carefully in the foreground, if you see here, this image look a little bit tight in the foreground, as well as if you see the horizon, this horizon is not in straight. So in order to correct the horizon, you need to rotate the image a little bit, maybe up to this. So the horizon is looking straight now. And if you look at the edges of the image, you are losing some of the edges of your image. So you correct the horizon in straight. Now if you look at the foreground, the image is looking more tighter, having the less breathing space over the edges of your image. So be careful when you take a little tight shot. You should maintain your horizon straight. Otherwise, in order to maintain the horizon straight, you need to crop your image a little bit, and your edges will be looking more tighter with the less breathing space at the edges of your image. My fifth reason is changing the orientation of the image. Sometimes the image look much better and significantly improve the composition of the image when you change the orientation. But changing the orientation, it drastically degrades the pixels of the image. So basically you need cameras with much higher megapixels, maybe 45, 50 or more than that, so that you can change the orientation from vertical to horizontal or vice versa without much worrying about the pixels of the image or the resolution of the image. Here we have the image which I have taken this image in the landscape or in the horizontal orientation. So if you look at this image, the main subject is this tree as well as this rising sun. And if you look on either side of this tree, there is a small tree here as well as on this area. So for me, this tree on either side of this main subject is acting as a distracting element. So I decided to crop out this image up to this area and from this side up to this area. So I came out with this image where you can see there is no distracting elements on either side of this main subject. So by changing the orientation, sometimes you can really improve the composition of the image. In this image, the main area of interest is this part, and I really wanted to emphasize this part of the image. So I decided to crop this image from left and right and change the orientation of the image. So you can see by changing the orientation of image, you can recompose the image and you can really emphasize your subject of interest in this image. But if you see the resolution of this image, you can go to the image and go to image size. You can see the width is 8400 and the height is 5600 pixels. Now after cropping the image, you can check the resolution again. Now if you check the resolution again, you can see the width became 3696 and the height is 5600. So the changing the orientation of image, you can really reduce the pixels of the image. So you need the higher megapixels cameras, maybe 50, 60 or more than that, so you can really crop the image without worrying much about the pixels of the image. Hope this video is informative for you, so please like, share and subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching this video. See you next time and bye for now.